Okay, so I'm going to take you through some of the integration points between the LV ERP system and Klipboard Money. So we've integrated this in 3 separate places within the system initially. We have it within the pro forma and the ordering system, we have it within the sales invoicing system, and we have it within the customer statement system. So I'm just going to take you through each of those in turn. And first of all, I'm going to start off with the sales order processing. So I'm just going to pick up a customer first of all. So I've got a pro forma type customer set up on the system. They don't have any current outstanding balance on their account. It's just a very straightforward pro forma client. What I want to do is to create a sales order for that and then initiate a payment request. Now I'm just going to pick up the last pro forma that was on the system, or the last order that was on the system, and I'm simply going to replicate that just to save some time. So I'm going to press 1 keystroke to replicate it, and then save that as a new record. It's record number 863 on the system. What I can then do is request a sort of payment generation from Klipboard Money. It's a very quick, easy process to do. We click on one button, that goes off and creates the payment request. And then when we print the documentation, we should be able to get a sort of layout within your standard report designer requesting the payment. But what we now get is these QR codes, which the customer can actually scan on their phone. If they've got their payment details and banking details, they can pay it through their phone. Or 2, it's an actual link as well. And when you click on that link, it will open up a sort of payment request form, and then we can fill in some details. So I'm just going to quickly fill in some of these information. I'm not going to fill in everything in full detail. So we just got some names and addresses. The system then prompts for the available payment methods that we provided when we onboarded initially. So we've got Apple Pay, we've got Visa, we've got MasterCard, and I've got some fake card details that I can just put into the system here to mimic a payment. And then once we pay that off, it will require any secondary authentication. And then that should be validated. Now, because that payment's been validated in the system, it then would return itself back to LV. So Klipboard Money and LV would communicate, and we would get a payment placed against this account. So if I quickly go back to this customer record, you can see now they have an account balance, which is in credit. So we received a cash payment. We have an outstanding transaction that's sitting on the system. That's great, but what we also want is visibility of that. So we also provide you with a notification within the system, and that notification will log itself. And when you get sort of sales order 863 that's being paid, that can trigger an internal email. It could go to your accounts department, telling them basically this item is being paid, and we can send something like, by the way, this payment for this particular document has been received. And that point, it can be released into sort of free circulation. We can allocate stock, we can dispatch it and get it out in the system for the goods that people have paid. So that's a really nice use case for the pro formas and the orders side of things. We have a slightly different use case for the sales invoices. What we can do with that is we can automate certain customers to receive these payment requests automatically. Okay, so we set it up. The customer will always receive these on every single invoices. We want them to pay off the invoices on a very short time frame. So what we can do, again, I'm just going to duplicate an existing invoice just so I've got a very straightforward invoice on the system. It's for, again, £100, £120 with VAT. And I'm going to post that so that it's updated on the ledger. Now, the difference between this and the pro forma is that we've now got a debt on the account. So customer has some credit, we have a debt on the account, and what we want to do is encourage them to pay that and settle that debt. So now, same sort of situation here. When we print the invoice document, we again have a QR code that somebody can pay. Same method, they all become familiar with this kind of format and what it looks like. Again, I'll just fill in my customer details. same payment card that we have, and again, the same options that we had previously. And then my secondary authentication being passed through here. Okay, payment successful again. So ever so slightly differently on this one, because there is a transaction, the system is now trying to do cash creation and allocation so that we don't have to have that manual step. So if I just jump to the transaction that's been created against this invoice here, we can see it's also got what's termed as a reconciled date. So that means it's been paid. We can see it's been paid. It's now been reduced from the debtor's account. There is an allocation record that's linked. That allocation record will have the cash payment, and that cash payment is the thing that's been automatically generated from the Klipboard Money integration and that pay by link that we'd sent through to the client. That's all done automatically through the system, through our shared services payments integration that we have there. So again, a lot of time saving, a lot of ease of use for our customers as well. And then the final integration point that we have is within the statement side of things. So we have created a brand new statement report within the system, which again can allow us to create these payment requests. So first of all, you need to select the transactions, the customers, and the date ranges that you want. So we can automatically exclude things that are under dispute or things that are on hold. Make sure we only include things up to the beginning of the month potentially, and then we can get the system to generate that payment request. What that will then do is give you a format. Again, it's your design, your layout, how this looks, your logos. List all of the transactions that are currently outstanding on the customer's account, and then at the end, we'll give them a link to pay that balance off. Now, this is a statement for £19,991. So when we click on this link, and I'm not going to pay this one off, we've seen that a couple of times already, but you can see it's now requesting that full statement of balance amount. If I were to pay that, again, that kind of automated allocation method would come into play, and all of these transactions that you see here would be paid off and allocated from that cash that gets receipted in the system. So a lot of time saving and a lot of ease of use there. Now, we put a couple of things in around this to help support the management and the maintenance of it. So first of all, we have a payment request report source so that you can list out where all the payment requests are and which ones are outstanding. So there's a very straightforward report that I've got here. It just tells me who the customers are, expiry dates of the payment links, because these last for 30 days initially, the invoice document or statement document that they're linked to, and then we have various different links. Now, you can do a couple of things with this. First of all, you could send a reminder, and we could automate this in the back office. So using things like our automated report spoolers, we can send these as they come within a sort of 1 to 2 day sort of expiry, or we could manually force it through. We could click on a link and then we could send them the link with the value back to that client as well. So very easy to kind of expedite payment if people aren't doing this or they've lost the email initially, whatever it is. The second thing we have is the ability of cancelling and refunding payment requests. So, for example, I've got my statement request down here for the 19,000. If for whatever reason that included some transactions that I didn't want, then I could drill through to the actual payment request itself, and I'll have a feature on here to be able to cancel that payment request. I could go back into the statement generation mechanism and then create a new one within the system. So it's very easy to sort of keep track of where things are, edit things down to the way you need them to be. And then finally, we have a method where we could actually refund a payment. So where we have a sales invoice that has been paid by the client, if we wanted to refund that, give them their money back, reinstate the transaction, then we have a refund mechanism. And that creates a little audit log for you, knows who did it, any references that we want to give it as to why we did that, and then what the value was and whether there's multiple refunds of partial amounts. So we got a very nice solution there. Hopefully you can see the benefit of the integrated payments, a lot of time savings, a lot of productivity gains, and very easy to adopt. There's a few layouts that we need to change and put in for you, but other than that, it's very straightforward to integrate. Thank you.